James Gunn has been getting backlash for months, ever since taking over as head of DC Studios, primarily for a decision he made at the very beginning that Henry Cavill would not be returning as Superman, despite the fact that he was brought back for the Black Adam post-credit scene, despite the fact that him and DC and Warner Brothers all together put together this big message about Henry Cavill returning as Superman. Well, now, after James Gunn has dropped his plans for the next several years of the DC universe, fans aren't very happy that it looks like he's deciding to keep everybody except for Henry Cavill. And now James Gunn is even going so far as to try to change the narrative, say, hey, we didn't fire Henry Cavill, he was simply never cast. Well, you made a big announcement, DC Warner Brothers, before you were there, right? Made this big announcement of him being there in the future. And then you sat down for a meeting with Henry Cavill. You told him you weren't going to be Superman, and you gave basically a joint statement that he will no longer be continuing as Superman. It pretty much sounds like he was fired for all intents and purposes, even if it wasn't sitting there like signed on a dotted line that he would be doing 3 more Superman movies. This is a cope, this is a spin, this is a way to try to push off some of that blame. And trust me, when you look and see hashtag fire James Gunn trending yet again, I wouldn't say it's a majority of people out there, but I would say it's a passionate group of people out there that are upset about this upcoming slate for DC. James Gunn claims he didn't fire Henry Cavill from Superman, says Henry was never cast. DC Studios CEO James Gunn provided a bizarre explanation for the decision to not have Henry Cavill continue as Superman following his cameo as the character in Black Adam. In a wide-ranging expose discussing Gunn and Peter Safran's upcoming slate, Gunn also addressed the decision to not have Cavill continue as Superman. Quote, "We didn't fire Henry. Henry was never cast. For me, it's about who do I want to cast as Superman and who do the filmmakers we have want to cast. And for me, for this story, it isn't Henry." That would be one thing if you were rebooting the rest of the DCU entirely, but that's not what it sounds like. We're rebooting DC completely, but everybody stays except Henry Cavill. James Gunn fired Henry Cavill, then kept his wife and friends. That's a fact. Hashtag fire James Gunn. And he even would go into that later. When you look at every other character, Ezra Miller, Jason Momoa, Zachary Levi, Gal Gadot, all these people, James Gunn left it open. He's like, well, we might very well continue with them. There's nothing preventing that. It seems like the only person who's being prevented from playing the role they want to play was Henry Cavill. And this comes after James Gunn, just last week even, he put out tweets like, we want to find actors who are easy to work with. A lot of people took that as shade at Henry Cavill. We saw what happened back in December, just like a couple days before they officially announced that Henry Cavill would no longer be Superman. Josh from Den of Nerds just put this out. James Gunn does not like Henry Cavill. Someone tagged him. The fact that they think Justin Fields is the Messiah as a Chicago Bears fan is pretty sad. But he says, sure, false. And then he went even further when Josh said, I'm just saying what I have heard. He said, so weird. You seem so plugged in. Anyway, I just had 40 people reach out to me to say you just got kicked out of your mom's basement. So sorry, man. It definitely seemed like a very aggressive response from James Gunn. And then as it turns out, he fires Henry Cavill. That's not the words he wants to use. But when you have to have a meeting with somebody, when you agree that the things he agreed to before, he's not going to be doing those things, you're going to be moving forward with somebody else, that's fucking firing him. That's really what this is. You might say, oh, that's semantics. We never actually technically hired him. But when you look at everybody else, they're fine with keeping everybody else around, just not Henry Cavill. Interestingly, Gunn indicated that Jason Momoa, Zachary Levi, Ezra Miller, and Zolo Meridueno, I don't know how to say his name, the guy from Cobra Kai, you know who he is, as Jaime Reyes, aka Blue Beetle, could potentially continue on their roles in Gunn's new vision for DC. There is nothing that prohibits that from happening. Just seemingly Henry Cavill. What do you guys think about this? I think that this is a way for James Gunn to try to push this aside, to try to shift some of this blame, to try to reframe the argument as if Henry Cavill wasn't fired, because he knows that's a big reason why people are mad. Go look on Twitter. Even now, hashtag fire James Gunn is still trending with a couple thousand tweets. Like, there's people that are upset about it. Not the majority of people, but a pretty significant vocal group of people are pissed about his plans for DC. What do you guys think? What do you think of his announcement? What do you think about this comment about Henry Cavill seemingly try to shift the narrative surrounding Henry Cavill effectively being fired by James Gunn and Peter Safran? Let me know in the comments section below. Smash a like button, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for notifications, share this video out there, and I'll talk to you later.